What's up, guys? Welcome to another Maker Monday. And this Monday, what we're going to be looking at is, I figured we'd take a look around my lab here that I've got set up and check out what kind of utensils and meters and things that you might want to put together your own lab with. Had some people ask me questions on different things that I use and what would be the best, whatnot. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I have the absolute best stuff in the world, but I've got some stuff that does pretty well and will get you definitely by. I'll show you a few things that I own, a few meters and stuff, and some scopes and power supplies, and I'll also tell you where to get some of this stuff, so that way you can build your own laboratory at home that you can do electronics and circuits with. So with that, let's go ahead. I'm going to reposition the camera, and we're going to take a look first at this bench here, at the different things that I have, and I'll discuss it with you guys, and hopefully I should be able to track down all the links from where I bought most of the stuff, and I'll try to put as many links as I can down in the description, so that way you guys can click to it and find it for yourselves. So let me go ahead and move the camera around, and we'll take a look at what we got sitting on the bench here. Okay, guys, I'm going to try to do this standing to the side of the camera here, but first thing, if you're going to be working on electronics, first thing that I would highly recommend you buying is one of these. This one is fairly inexpensive. You can get from, I believe I got this one from Amazon, but is an ESD Mat. What this does is, this ESD stands for electrostatic discharge. We'll probably go over that in a video of its own sometime, because there's a whole host of things behind it. But basically, if you've ever walking across the carpet, you know, and you touch your friend or your sister or your brother or something, you know, you give a little shock, bzz, you know, that's the ESD. That's electrostatic discharge. That can damage circuit components. Now, many of you seasoned people that hobbyists and electronics people, you know this all too well. But basically, for those of you that don't know, you can damage electronics. Like, for instance, this LCD screen here. Now, a lot of times, most people that build boards and things like that will actually put in ESD protective devices. So different diodes and things, the Zener and whatever else, that will actually short any high spikes in voltage to ground and things like that, and keep it away from core components that could be damaged. Now, if you're in the middle of designing your circuit, though, let's say this is some circuit board that I'm building, I may not have the protection circuitry installed yet, or something like that, or maybe I haven't thought of protecting a certain data bus or something, and I've just flat forgotten it, and it could actually damage a component. Well, that's where working on an ESD mat comes in handy. Now, mine back here, I don't know if you can see this, but back here it's got a little, it looks like a snap, and it's got a 1 mega ohm wire connected to it. And what I've done is I've connected this wire to the ground of one of my power supplies. Now, my power supply does have the 3-prong power plug on it, and it is connected to my house's service ground, okay? So basically what that means is, if I get all charged up, all I have to do is put my hands on this mat or touch this mat. Really, the best way, if you're charged up, is to use an ESD strap, which I did have one laying around. Oh, I probably don't have it anymore, but I sometimes will use an ESD strap at times. It's a bracelet is what it looks like. I wish I could find it. Oh well, doesn't matter. But it's a bracelet that basically has one of these wires on it too, that you plug into a ground source, and then that will ground you down. But the main thing is any parts or components or anything really should be worked on an ESD mat. That way, if anything gets charged up, whether it be you or even utensils that you use can hold a static charge. The minute you lay them down, you know, a probe or something, you know, the minute you lay them down on one of these mats, it will slowly, through this 1 mega ohm resistor to ground, discharge out that ESD, and it will, that static charge, it'll discharge that out through the mat, okay? So I highly recommend buying an ESD mat. They can go really expensive, and they can go fairly cheap. This one, I haven't really experienced any problems with ESD. Of course, I do keep my humidity in my house under control. I do have a humidifier. So humidity plays a big part. The drier your environment is, the more susceptible to ESD is it's going to be. But take some mitigation costs or precautions and get one of these mats. Like I said, they're not real expensive, and they'll make sure and help you at least mitigate any damages you could possibly have with your electronic components. So definitely grab one of these. Also, meters. Now, I could build an entire video on meters, okay? So what we're going to look at is, here's a great handy little meter that I like to use. That's in fact, I believe that Dave Jones on EEV blog, if you haven't checked him out, definitely go check out EEV blog. It is a great wealth of electronics knowledge. Dave has got some amazing tips and tricks and stuff for you guys, but he recommended this, and I actually bought one of these just because they're fairly inexpensive and they're fairly accurate. If you look at this little guy, let me hold it up to it. He's got 10 amp mode, so there's actually it can measure up to 10 amps, which is actually that's quite a bit for a meter, for one of these little meters. And then I've got milliamps, microamps, capacitance, diode checker, and continuity checker, all in one. And then I've got AC voltage, DC voltage, I've got frequency, I've got temperature, Fahrenheit, and Celsius. That's a lot of stuff. And as well as, this is kind of cool, I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear that? It's got basically a circuit tester. I can take, in fact, here, I'm just going to borrow it because it's here. One of my lamps here. I don't know if you can hear that, but you can see it lighting up. It's basically like, I always called them squeakers, but it's basically like those like electricity detectors, those little pins that will beep. I used to have one that'll beep when you put it next to a live wire, something that has current flowing through it. This will actually read that. It's actually kind of cool. So that's just kind of a nifty. I don't really use it that much, but it's just kind of nifty that it has it. But it's actually fairly accurate. It's a pretty good little device. You can set the range. Has different modes where you can select different modes and things. Has the hold. It has a bunch of different features. I'm actually very impressed with this little thing. But this is a great little meter. If you're wanting to just getting started in electronics or whatever, this is under $100. Very good, well made. Comes with a little rubber shock case, and even has a little kickstand here that you can set it up with. So I highly recommend one of these little guys. These little guys are great. Dave was right. Dave Jones, he recommended this, and I've been playing with it for a little while, and it's great to have. And since they're fairly inexpensive, you can buy a couple of these, and I recommend that, having 2 meters, because then you can have one for current, one for voltage. So that's a good one. I also have a Fluke. It's not down here right now, but that one's like a $800-900 meter. So now that's, if you're really wanting to get up into the big meters, a Fluke meters, where you're going to go, where you're going to want to go after something simple like this. But definitely get that. I highly recommend getting some of these little probes. These are little microelectronic probes. They're made by Pomona, is who makes these, and these are just fantastic for getting in. I mean, you can see, I don't know if you guys can see that, how needle sharp these are for dealing with little tiny, when you're dealing with components that are just teeny tiny, man, these guys can get right in there. So I highly recommend picking up a set of those. Oscilloscope wise, I've really enjoyed the Rigol scopes. This one is the Rigol DS1054. I believe it is a 1 gigasample per second. Yeah, gigasample per second. This one's just a 50 megahertz scope. I really haven't had any need until we really get into RF for anything higher. But they do make obviously many different models, but this is very, very affordable. It's a, I think it's sub $500. So that's pretty good. US, all this is US currency. It's pretty good for these guys. So I highly recommend getting a Rigol scope. These actually work pretty well. And in fact, if you wonder about the quality of these, again, Dave Jones, EEV blog, he does a teardown of one of these and tears one apart and inspects it and lets you know the quality of it. And surprisingly enough, they are good, very good quality. So I recommend one of those. It's a 4-channel scope, so you got 4 different channels to work with. So it's fantastic. Another thing that I would say is power supplies. Everybody needs a power supply, and this guy is a great, inexpensive power supply. This guy is made by Circuit Specialists. It is sub $100, so it's not real super expensive. It is a 0 to 50 volt, constant voltage, constant current, DC power supply. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I can even turn it on here. There we go. So, like I said, it even has a constant current mode. You can set the current with this little knob. So, excuse me. That way, if you want a constant 2 amps or 1.5 amps or something like that to go through something, you can set that by shorting it out. In fact, I can even show you real fast. If I take 2 probes here that I've got, and if you want to set the current, you just short the probes. Get it. Short the probes. And there it is. And then all you have to do is, of course, I need a little screwdriver for this. You can turn this knob, see, and you can actually set the current, how much current it's going to actually produce. This does really well for, like, if you're doing heaters or something like that, or you're trying to make like some sort of an E-match, or I mean really anything, or a battery. Let's say if you're recharging a battery and it's within the 3 amp range of this, you can set the current of this guy and constant current charge a battery. So that is fantastic. It's a very good little product. They also have many others that they go up in price, but there's many others. This one was just the best bang for its buck. It's adjustable all the way up to 50 volts, 3 amps. You can't go wrong with it. Inexpensive, sub $100. Just fantastic. So I highly recommend those little power supplies. This is kind of another one that's similar to that. They have these on there as well, but I definitely recommend that little power supply. So those are just a few things of what I've got up here. I also recommend having a good set of screwdrivers. This is one that I actually got for Christmas, but it has a whole bunch of Torx as well as control screwdrivers. Lots of different little tiny Phillips heads, as well as, you know, you can't have enough screwdrivers. I've got another kit here that has just, they're like watch screwdrivers. I mean, it goes down to, I mean, you probably can't even see the tip of that. I mean, that's just incredibly small. You know, and it's good to have that because you never know when you're going to run into electronics and things that have those teeny tiny screws and whatnot. So I definitely recommend that. A mechanical product that I definitely highly recommend that you have laying around is a good set of what's called Vulnier calipers. Okay, definitely have a good set of these laying around. They will work wonders for you, and I recommend the dial calipers. And the reason why I recommend dial calipers, and these are for measuring things. You know, you may need to measure, oh, you know, how wide is this screen actually, you know, and things like that, you know, and so these are great to have. The dial calipers I highly recommend. The reason why, they don't need batteries. You get those fancy ones that have the you know, have the digital readout and everything. Well, they're all great and good until the batteries go out, and then they're absolutely worthless once the batteries go out. So I definitely recommend the dial calipers just because they do not take batteries. Okay guys, well, I hope that gave you a little bit of an insight. I know it went by pretty quick, but like I said, I'd like to keep these videos down to about 12 minutes or somewhere around in there, so don't want to go any longer than like 20 minutes. So anyway, I showed you a few benchtop things that you guys could get to use. All work wonderfully. Like I said, that little meter and those benchtop power supplies and a good set of screwdrivers, that will get you definitely started. In fact, that's kind of what I started with, was a meter and a power supply, and that's pretty much it. And then I added all the soldering stuff and everything else. And we'll go over that probably in later videos. I'll show you some of the soldering equipment and solder setup and stuff that I have that makes life easier when you're having to rework circuit boards and whatnot. So guys, as always, I hope that you enjoyed this Maker Monday video. Why don't you take and share it with everybody, all your friends and anyone. Give me some likes. Let me know if you enjoyed these videos, if you're getting something out of it every week. I know I've had a couple people say that it's how they like looking forward to them. So as long as you guys like them, I will keep them coming. Hopefully this, if you're watching this in the morning, this helped your day, brightened your day up a little bit, got your creative juices flowing on what you could make or what you could build up in your basement. And if you're watching at the end of your day, hopefully it gives you a nice good thing to watch for the end of the day. If you've had a stressful day, hopefully I'll helped you de-stress maybe just a little bit, get you excited about some electronic stuff. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video, definitely give me a like, thumbs up, or whatever. It really helps the channel, as well as comment down below. If you have any questions for me or anything like that, I will do my absolute best to try to answer them. So Have a good week, guys. I've got more videos coming. Hopefully, we'll be getting into power and into AC signals and things like that. I had a lot of stuff on the AC to DC converter and stuff like that. So a lot of comments and things. So hopefully, we will get more into that, and we will look at power circuits and AC circuits and things like that in the future. So I'll be coming up with those videos soon. Stay tuned. Thanks a lot, guys. Oh yeah, watch me on Twitter and Instructables. Oh, and t-shirts. Oh, and coffee mugs. I don't have mine with me, but I put a new coffee mug. It's actually a tumbler, so I call it a coffee mug, but it's a tumbler. Check out Zazzle.com/misperry. It's down in the description. Help support the channel by buying some cool swag from the channel. I mean, might as well. There's cool stuff that's out there. There's keychains and everything, but the tumbler is actually really cool. I ordered one, and it's pretty cool. So those of you that like logic, we'll put it that way, you'll enjoy that coffee tumbler. All right, guys, I've rambled too long. Take care. We'll see you next time. And with that, that ought to do it.